Hello and welcome at this 8th installment of Sabzian's Milestones, a series of screenings devoted to landmarks from film history. Tonight we will be screening Harun Farocki's seminal essay film Images of the World and the Inscription of War from 1989. Harun Farocki, who passed away in 2014, was a German filmmaker, author, artist and teacher. He published many articles and reviews and collaborated on publications, books and exhibitions with his partner Antje Eman, for example, to whom we would like to express our gratitude for making this screening possible. Harun Farocki made a large number of radio broadcasts, video installations, and more than 100 films. Often his work examined the relationship between science, warfare, and capitalism, and what role images play in this relationship, how images operate in the process of gaining power, be it over nature, other men, or the market, how these images are used to measure the world. Images of the World, the film you're about to see, was originally conceived as a history of labor, but it appears that if you research the history of labor long enough, you inevitably wind up alongside the history of warfare. Both histories are intertwined and rely on the same technological advancement. The technology of warfare and that of the image run parallel. The French philosopher Paul Virilio, with whom Farocki also collaborated, wrote, "For men at war, the function of the weapon is the function of the eye." The logic of war is inscribed in peacetime in the way labor is exploited and rendered invisible, in the way value is attributed, in the instrumentalization of sciences, of images, in the formalization of how they are made, and in the configurations in which they are sent out in the world to meet our eyes. Farocki examines the tension between perception and representation. Images are products of a violent process and hide more than they pretend to show of the world. They preserve and destroy. This tension between preservation and destruction lies at the heart of the film's structure. Bomber planes photographing what they destroy, an SS officer photographing the newly arrived deportees at the gates of Auschwitz, the facades of historical buildings being photographed before they are demolished. Farocki draws up an archaeology of the image at the service of domination, be it military, industrial, or scientific, and an etymology of the inscriptions of words on these images. But he doesn't take the viewer on a linear historical field trip. There is no exhaustive overview, rather a weaving of fragments which reveal connections an overview might actually conceal. The film's form, the aesthetic, and its discourse are as intertwined as the histories it sets out to investigate. Farocki uses existing images or films situations in which these images are being made or used. These are so-called operational images, neutral, seemingly devoid of anything that exceeds the goals they serve. Farocki reads and rereads these images, and in the process of repetition and variation, there is always something unintended that surfaces, some surplus, some human error or excess, standing in the way of pure operationality. No image, no word is taken for granted. Images are influenced by the words that accompany them, and this consciousness is what structures the film. There is a voice conscious of its own inscriptions. Farocki reinscribes images as he reframes them, talks about them, he brings them into orbit of other images which seem to bear no relation to each other. These separate, so-called neutral elements collide in montage, revealing a common world, not in a naive humanistic sense, but in a radically humanistic sense that recognizes that men are at once able to cure cancers, build pyramids, but also of planning and bringing into practice organized mass murder, as in Auschwitz. We see images of the world in which man is disappearing, images of the world in order to dominate that world. Harun Farocki once said, "Cameras are circling the world to make it superfluous, and I am part of these cameras circling the world." But thankfully, reality resists. As with previous milestone screenings, Sabzian has published a number of texts to accompany and contextualize this film. You can find them on the website. I would like to thank Antje Eman again, as well as Volker Pantenburg for helping us out. And thank you for watching. Enjoy the screening.